we're on the couch with Troy Laing, and he's an amazing individual. And we're going to be talking a little bit about your story, because you're someone that I find really fascinating, and you've got an amazing story, but also it's who you have become and who you're becoming every day. That has also got me enthralled. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Growing up, I come from a poor background. So in relation to love and money, my father was, my parents split at a young age, but my father was extremely driven by the dollar, which is part of the reason why my mum left him. And then
a very big thing for the Westerners, by the way.
Yeah. And then my mum found love in my stepfather, but we had a very poor upbringing, jumping from rental property to rental property and really struggling. So on one hand, I seen my father, who was well off, but sacrificed. He couldn't have love, basically, because he had other relationships that broke down in the pursuit for money. Yes. But then I seen a loving relationship, which was, stuck with a lot of struggle because of financial difficulties. Yes. So that was my upbringing. I, from a young age, I bought my first house when I was 21 and had my own business.
So you were ahead of the game already as a young person, because that's not the typical thing. So that must have come from a little bit of the conditioning that you saw growing up too, from your dad, because to be driven to buy a house at 21 is not a normal thing.
Yeah, and it was it was such a ambitious thing to do, but a struggle at the same time, especially starting my own business
and starting your own business.
Yeah, and also I come from the time I was 18, I was basically a full-blown alcoholic. So I would drink at work, after work, I would drink, drive everywhere. And then by the time I bought my house, I got involved in drugs quite heavily. So when I had my business, I basically smoked marijuana from the time I got up to the time I finished or went to sleep.
That would have had a toll on you.
Yeah, by the time I was 24, I was really in a bad state, in a depressed way. And that's when I left the area where I grew up and tried to make somewhat of a change in my life and pursue other things. I always wanted to travel. So I was lucky enough to get a job in, fly out, which gave me the opportunity to earn really good money and travel.
Yes. So can we talk about this? So there's so many aspects of your story, Troy. So first is the drive to be successful, which you did, but you got drugs and all that distractions in there. Still, you haven't spoken about happiness yet, which I noticed that's not mentioned. But you're much happier today. So we'll come back to how you found happiness. But then you also talk about the fly out, how that gave you a chance to break away from where you were at to where you're going. So how was the fly out situation for you?
It was great because it gave me opportunity to explore parts of the world that I would never have been able to do without it. So it created huge opportunities, but culturally who I'd become, part of my spare time was about my idea of having fun was, as much as I'd go do touristy things and sightsee, and I had great opportunities.
Did your body look like this?
It's the only thing that saved me. I've always trained. So
there you go. So there's a consistency there.
That was the only thing that's been consistent in my life. I put my life I owe my life to the fact that I've always had that physical nature to it, because without it, I'd either be dead or a drug addict, basically.
So there's something very profound here, is that if you have even one thing in your life, even just one thing that can bring you back to your center, some passion, something that means something to you, it doesn't matter that all the other aspects of your life are falling apart. You always came back to working out.
And it wasn't the physical, it was when I was having times of struggle, it was a place I could go and just be at peace, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And I would honestly train high, hungover. It wasn't healthy for me, but it was healthy for me to be in that environment when I was really struggling.
Yes. So it was a way of coping, to release stress.
Yeah.
In some ways, it was kind of like your counselor.
Yeah, it was.
Because, because that's one of the things we're talking about. How do we deal with stress? How do we deal with breakdowns? How do we cope and function? And as men have a harder time, I believe, because they don't speak up. They don't share openly. And that's what we're wanting to bring to men. Like there's a better way, right?
So that was like what you said, that was my coping mechanism. And I was in FIFO industry for the best part of 10 years on and off. And towards the end of it, my lifestyle was starting to really take a toll on me as a person. Like the things that I did that made me happy in my spare time, which was evolved around drugs and alcohol and women and that sort of thing, it became the opposite. I really got depressed because I seen a life of not going, and it's great to have all this money, but if it's not going to any future, especially for someone who wants to have a family, wants to have a future, wants to have happiness, I needed to change, and I realized that I didn't have any self-love or respect for myself in the things that I was doing.
And we working together, and you coming to one of the workshops, you realize that the work that I'm talking about constantly is self-love. It is recognizing yourself as a worthwhile being and knowing that you have the ability to actually control aspects of your own being and how you feel, how you think. And all of that is connected. And when you realize that you're the master creator, and any drugs you want, you can make it. This body makes all the drugs.
That's right.
And so I teach people how to make their own cocaine, how to make their own drugs naturally. Because everyone asks me, what am I on? I always say I'm on life. And so part of these All About You workshops that we do, we teach people how to find their own natural place of happiness, coming back home to their own hearts. And keep sharing, because men don't talk about things like this normally.
Well, I wish, honestly, that I had, when I wanted to change, I found mentors through the internet. So it was like motivational videos, audio books, paperback books, and that's how it started. But I didn't have the people around me that I needed, like environmentally, if I had more people like you that have a deeper understanding of what it means and how to bring it out. I could have fast-tracked things
quicker ways to do
a lot. So it's been a huge struggle to get to who I want to be and where I want to be. And I'm not always as happy as you. But
really?
But I'm trying to get to that level. And now that, we've come together, I've got the opportunity to, work with some of your teachings and understand your way of life. And for me, I speak about divine timing. I think people come into your life when you're really ready to change. And luckily, I've been able to, come into your life. And, the way I see you with the people that are around you and your own story from your background and the fact that you've had foster children and helped all these people, you just have a pure heart of love and you just see the good in people. And it's something that is really amazing.
And I do believe that all human beings, when they really do get to know themselves, that's the place they come from. For me, it is the only place. And so because I'm always in alignment and flowing with that, there's a resonance and there's a recognition. So I recognize myself in you, Troy, and in every being as I look out. So I'm not there worrying about Jacqui, this identity, this form. The Jacqui, the spirit of love, unconditional love and connection. It's that oneness and that recognition. So I teach others that they're that too. And then what I do is I activate the presence and the energy, which is, you see this wonderful flow of movement. Because when I look out at life, I feel the connection and I teach people how to feel that connection. And once it will take a little while for some people who have not been living in the space all the time, but when they're around the energy and around my work, they start to feel that connection, which you managed to have. You've had a few. They say, I can feel. Oh wow, what's going on? That's you. That's all you. Has nothing. I was just there as a source. Because I'm so transparent. I think that's what it is, and I can be that space to help to bring forth that feeling for others. It's like when you go to a doctor or you go to some professional person, a sports person, they can show you little tips and tricks. So for me, as I see myself as a person who brings a divine message to the world, and it's a recognition that we're all one, and that we came here to be happy. We came here to feel free, and there is a connection. So we are connected, even though you cannot see the imaginary lines that hold us together. You can feel it. There's a presence. So once you start to understand the intricacies of being a human, you realize there's only love. There is only love here. And it's from that place you recognize yourself and start to love yourself.
And it's the energy you bring to the room. That's a huge thing, because we are creatures of energy. That's scientifically proven. It's not mythical or anything. we run on vibrational frequencies.
Absolutely.
So your environments and the people you spend your time around, or what you're exposed to in regards to what you watch, listen, that is a huge change in your physiology.
Yes.
So you really bring that to a room when you work with people, or you're in front of a lot of people.
Yes.
Like that night with me, I was not in a good place, but by the time you finished, I was open and I was free. You know.
Yes, you were free. And you felt connected.
Yeah.
And so I talk about the ness of life, NESS, finding your natural, enthusiastic. Enthusiastic is the God within, sacred self. You know, that part of you that we keep secret sometimes. But that is our sacred self. We know it's there. So if we can find something, it's natural. So you're not trying now and, you know, it's got to be natural, baby.
Yeah.
It says, I call it the effortless flow of life. So you find that place where you're flowing. And you know when you're there, because it's easy and it's effortless.
Yeah.
There's no trying, Troy. There's being.
Yeah.
When you're being that. Natural, enthusiastic, sacred self. So there's an inner peace and a recognition. There's a spirit, you know, that something's waking up inside of you. It's like when you fall in love, or you get excited, or you look at a rainbow, or something captivates you, or wow, you know, you cannot think.
Yeah.
You have to be with that.
Yeah. It's a feeling, like it's that emotional feeling.
It is that emotional feeling, right? And so this work, what we're doing is helping people heal by bringing them back into their hearts.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you don't have to talk about your problems, because in this space you can actually see it and feel it. And so we work that energetic realm, which is what you're talking about, and we're able to move it through. So we don't have to tell everyone that the whole world sucks and they hate everyone. No, you don't have to say it. Your face and your emotional body carries that already. Yeah. So then we're able to work what I call activate you. I call this work kind of an activation and alignment, bringing people back into their highest and best self, bringing their energy up, almost like a vibrational alignment.
Yeah. 100%.
And because I am that transparent one,
yeah,
that's what, you know, so it comes through really easily and flows.
Yeah. And you're genuinely pure. Like you really want to be there to help people, and
I love the people so much. I love you guys. I love you guys. I just love you guys so much. I only came to be of service to humanity, by the way. I've been saying this since I can remember, since in my early teens. I just wanted to serve people. I really felt that there was something in me that was of value, and I felt that people weren't as happy because they didn't know, or they had forgotten.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I'm doing now is waking people up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reminding them.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, it's there, Troy, it's there. Yeah. And you say, oh, it's not there. I say, let's look together. And when we look together, it's there.
It is, yeah. We just get so lost in our ways because of many things, like conditioning and the things we're exposed to, and the limiting beliefs that we're told through our upbringing, all kinds of different factors that limit ourselves and our self-beliefs, what's really in there.
Yes.
And you help sort of unlock that, which is amazing.
Yes, and it's very easy and effortless. And it's not waiting, it's like now.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people have done a lot of courses, and I've got a few clients who've been seeing counselors for years, and they're like, I've only had one session with you, and it feels like you've shifted. That.
Do you know, the one thing I think, when you talk about counsellors, I've had quite a lot of close friends go to counsellors, and they seem to bring up their past a lot.
Yes.
And instead of letting them understand that this is unfortunately maybe part of the process, and accepting it and letting it go, they dwell on it. And it's like it's bringing up these memories. And instead you unlock to say, this is not you. This may have happened to you, but this is not you. This does not define your future.
Absolutely. And your experiences that you have bring you more in alignment to something greater that's coming through you. So if you hadn't had those experiences, you wouldn't be this amazing person that you are today. Yeah. And I also let people see that if they're choosing to do something that they believe that is not really what they want to do, or they have to hide to do it, don't hide. Yeah. Just do that thing and love it. Yeah. So if I'm having my glass of champagne or vodka, or my whole bottle of vodka, I am like, I'm loving it, right? Yeah. And I'm not embarrassed that, I had to have a whole bottle of vodka. I'm like, I can own that dark side of me. If I'm having a joint, or if I'm doing something illegal, or, I don't break the rules, by the way. I would never break the rules. I'm just saying that sometimes people do that. And if you can just take ownership
Yeah.
and love whatever it is, but understand there's a consequence, but you're not hung up on that. It's very liberating.
Yeah.
So that part of you needs love. So, and you know it's wrong to do that. And you know it's wrong to steal something that you're stealing. And if you're finding yourself doing that, then you can say, okay, that part of my heart is broken. I need to send it love. So you've done it more than one times and you're so embarrassed and all caught up and hide, but it keeps coming back and coming back. So let's see if we can get rid of it. So to get rid of it, what I do is I started to love that part of me, you know?
Yep.
So that's where it's just like, okay, this is happening and I love that part of me. It's a part of me.
Mm.
I can't just cut it off and cut my hand off and say, get rid of the hand because the hand did something naughty.
Yeah.
So what you do is love that hand so much. It's like a child.
Yeah.
If you have a baby and your baby did something naughty, get a sugar bottle, dropped it on the ground, or, you know, spilled milk all over the floor, you don't just take that baby and put it in the bin. You clean the baby up and say, come here, I love you, clean it up. Don't do that again. But you pick the baby up, you still cuddle the baby, you think it's fine.
Yeah.
So you treat that part of you that's been, you know, not so nice. Because people actually hurt themselves, Troy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the people cut themselves, overdose, they kill. I mean,
Yeah.
suicide is a big thing. And men, that's another topic we'll talk about.
Yeah.
You know? But these are the issues we're uncovering, guys. And I'll be just sharing ideas of ways you can deal with things in a better way. And inviting you to come to one of the All About You events that we're running all across Perth.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain just by attending it. So having an open mind, I mean, if you're in a position where you aren't happy with your life and nothing in your life is working, what have you got to lose by attending an event that could change your life?
And it's a 2-hour event, and I love the men. More men than women have been showing up. And I honestly, women, please keep showing up. And there's good-looking men like Troy there all the time. And it's not really just about the men. It's about the people, about all the people there. It's a beautiful kind of loving, nurturing environment. And it's a safe place. And the commitment really is to bring out the best in you and have you fall back in love with yourself and free yourself up to be your own authentic blueprint.
Yeah. To be who you should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thanks, Troy. This is amazing. We're going to continue more conversations like this. Thank you for listening. Guys, just get out there and do you like no one else can. And you have an amazing week.
Yeah. But no, thank you for having me, Jacqui. It's amazing.
Oh, so beautiful.